Okay, Ellie, you're very welcome to the Streets of Dublin Simon podcast. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Not at all, not at all. Do you want to maybe start us off by telling us, introduce yourself, your role and how long you've been with Dublin Simon?
Yeah, so my name's Ellie. I'm the project worker in Dublin Simon's Blood Borne Respite and Stabilisation Unit. I've been there for a little over 2 years now. I love the role. It's very diverse, bit of everything.
Brilliant. Yeah. Can you tell us about your career to date, maybe, how you got to where you are today?
Yeah, so I started kind of in my undergraduate degree. I didn't really know what I wanted to study. So I kind of just flipped through a prospectus and was like, that looks fun. And I ended up doing a work placement abroad, and I ended up working with some public health officers. And that's where I found out that that's kind of where my interests lay. So I then went on to do my master's degree, and I studied public health with a focus on health promotion, so harm reduction and things like that. And like many people, I suppose, I moved away before the pandemic, and then obviously when that hit, I had to come home. And I started applying for roles, and the first role I got actually was in Dublin. So I moved up to Dublin. I started working in the homeless service up here in emergency accommodation, and then applied for the role of support worker in the Blood Borne Unit. And then progressed on to project worker, and love it so far.
Brilliant, that's great. Yeah. What inspired you to work in homeless services?
Wow. I don't know. It kind of just felt like really natural. I always wanted to work in the area of health promotion and harm reduction. And obviously working with people who are in extremely vulnerable positions and wanting to make some kind of impact and wanting to, just want to be part of the solution as opposed to the problem, I suppose. And that's kind of how I ended up working there.
Yeah, amazing. Can you talk us through maybe what you do in your role day to day? So obviously it's a very specialised role. So you're a project worker, but as you say, it's in like a clinical service. Yeah. So can you maybe tell us about the day to day of your role?
There's no real one set day to day.
Yeah.
I find that it can be a bit chaos, but I would link in with clients every day. So we would work on things in the short term. So if somebody needs a medical card, a GP, we help them access those services. We do the reduced use groups, like Jackie was saying. So we focus on harm reduction. So we help clients reduce their drug use or more safely practice drug use. And then we also work, case management, care planning really is the kind of our bread and butter. And then linking clients in with counselling services or whatever it else is that they may be. So obviously the main goal really of where we work is that people are leaving in a better position than one that they came in. So if that's medical, if that's stable drug stabilisation, whatever it is, we meet the clients where they are and tailor their care plans to meet what they need to get from the service.
And it is that very individualized approach. It's about the individual client and what their goals are and what their objectives are.
Completely. I mean, if you were going to work every day and doing just what you thought was best, it's not going to be helpful for anybody. But if you actually listen to people, they'll tell you what they need. So it's about that, sitting down with somebody and giving space for a conversation and working in a real collaborative way. And just working with the clients on what they need. Yeah.
No, absolutely. How does this role, your role, how does that support people experiencing homelessness? What kind of role does that play in the bigger solution? Do you know your service?
I suppose because we're only a 6-week program, we don't have clients really long term with us. We can start a lot of things say, for example, a housing application. I mean, we know now they take upwards of 3 months to process. So we can start that with clients within our service. And I mean, maybe they've linked in with key workers before, but wouldn't get a chance to sit down for half an hour or an hour to do all these different bits of paperwork that could help them in the future, if it's getting a council house or whatever it might be. So we can start all of those bits of work that hopefully will have impact in the future. But it's just working in the moment, because like I said, 6 weeks is a really, really short period of time in somebody's life. So I suppose it's just sitting down, giving people that space to talk, listen, tell you what they need, and then try help them and hopefully, better position.
I suppose that as you say, the idea of having people leave in a better position than they were when they came in, that kind of, I suppose, that stabilisation piece, it very much, that can often help, you know, kind of grease the wheels of someone on their path out of homelessness. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like a lot of our work, you don't see the impact straight away. A lot of it is planting the seed, you know, so we might see clients a couple of times in a year. So it could be about just planting that seed that it's like, okay, we'll start this time. Okay, it didn't work out now, but next time around we know what did work, what didn't work, and then hopefully move forward and reach their goals.
Is that a challenge for you as a care provider, or is it something that is just par for the course?
I think it was a challenge initially at the start because you want the best for everybody. But I think it's that realization of it's what the person in the position, what is best for them and not what you think is best for them. So I think definitely it's difficult at the beginning because you want to see everybody, you know, reaching their goals and graduating the program. But it might not happen the first time, but there's no set amount of chances. Anybody, you know, everyone deserves as many opportunities as it takes to get it right for them.
No, amazing. What's the hardest part of your job?
There's a couple of things that are hard. I suppose it's that expectation maybe you put on yourself of like that, you know, it's something to be cognizant of, I suppose, as somebody working in the field, but you can't be all things for everybody as much as you may want to. So I think that's, while it's difficult, it's also a learning curve because it's knowing how to perfect your practice and where to refer people on and, you know, get them onto the pathways and just realising that you can't do it all for everybody. So I think that's definitely the most difficult thing.
Yeah, I think that's the case with a lot of people who work kind of in like service provision, like in, you know, especially in a caring role, that it's very difficult to kind of set that, you know, boundary and limit for yourself. Yeah,
boundaries.
A daily struggle.
First thing in the morning, boundaries.
What's the best part of your job?
That's the clients, 100%. It's the people we work with. It's great coming in, and the first thing we get to every morning, like Jackie was saying, is we do like a mindfulness first thing in the morning. So we're all making coffee together, and then you sit down and you start your day off right. We're coming in, and just engaging with people, and
that's brilliant. Are there particular moments that kind of jump out to you from working in the Bloodborne virus unit? Are there particular like special moments or significant moments that stick with you?
We do the reduced use program, so that lasts for the length of time that the clients are there. I think it's any time you get to do a graduation from the program. They're always so special. So
talk us through that. So people graduate from the program, do
they? So we'll do the 6-week program, so it's like 8 modules.
Oh, you do modules and everything?
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
So Jackie delivered one of the modules there last week, as she was saying. Went down a treat, so I hear. But so once the client or once the individual like completes all of the modules, then normally on the day of discharge or when they're moving on somewhere else, we'll all come together and we'll have a bit of cake and a bit of a party, and they get a certificate, and it's really special. I'd say it's probably
that sounds amazing.
All of them are fantastic. I love the graduations.
And what are the modules?
So it starts about the biopsychosocial model of addiction, and then it goes into like, why do I use in the moment? So it's all about like creating awareness around patterns of use and how to prevent or how to recognise when a relapse may be coming, how to refuse drugs, or it's all based on health promotion and harm reduction. So
that sounds so interesting, and obviously like it is so beneficial for people to learn as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And possibly, you know, some people are learning about this stuff in a formal way kind of for the first time, you know, like it seems really innovative as a program.
It is a great program, and I think what we're even learning more now is we're kind of using the program. It's everybody, like we all understand without having ever had a word for what the biopsychosocial model of addiction is. People are telling us in the group that they're like, oh, that's what that is, but you're looking at like the biology, psychology, social aspects of addiction. So you might not have a big word to put on it, but everybody knows it. So it's just about like...
And talk to us about that. So is that kind of like the intersection of all these different areas, is it?
Yeah, it basically says that like you could be more prone to addiction for any number of reasons. And one of them might be it's biology, psychology, or your social. So where you grow up, the area you live in, if you have any kind of pre-existing conditions, there's a number of factors. Any kind of trauma, anything like that can all leave a person more vulnerable to addiction and different coping behaviours like that. And what we're kind of hoping to move on with now in the programme is, it's obviously I enjoy it, and it's like I love sitting down and talking the modules through with the group, but we're thinking it's more beneficial when it's actually more of a peer-led thing. So this is what, like Jackie going on forward now and delivering the group, it's better that conversation's had maybe amongst peers with practitioners in the background, really.
Samantha mentioned that as well, that it's kind of the benefits of, you know, people who have a lived experience of what you know, their peers are going through. Like it helps it to hit home better and create that kind of shared understanding, I suppose. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, it's definitely what we hope to move forward to, I think, with the reduced
and that's
use.
brilliant. And it sounds like, you know, some people are naturals at teaching and delivering these modules, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
And it gives people a great opportunity, I suppose, to explore that side of themselves and like see is that an interest for them, you know.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And I think something like that, the group facilitation, it's something that you might be super nervous, you know, before you do it, but then find out that you just have like a bit of a natural flair for it, and discovering things about yourself.
No, that's brilliant. So I suppose, you know, in terms of the homeless sector, you know, the addiction space in Ireland, like what do you wish was different?
I think a lot of it is the stigma around addiction and around homelessness and the othering that happens in society. If there's any one big change really you can make, it's removing that stigma. I mean, obviously we'd seen it, like we work in the Blood Borne Virus Unit, so people come in, they might have Hep C or HIV or whatever it is, and they've dealt with stigma their entire lives. Slowly we are beginning to move past that now, you know, people are getting educated, you know, the whole idea of undetectable and transmittable, like we are getting more and more educated, so hopefully it's the same coming with drug use and homelessness. It can happen to anybody, you know, it's...
Yeah, 100%. And I suppose, you know, we probably are, and sometimes we maybe exist in little echo chambers as well, that like all of us here in Dublin Simon are like very conscious of like eradicating stigma and not perpetuating it. But I guess there's ways that people can perpetuate it with just language, you know, and not consciously, you know what I mean? That there's a lot to be done, I suppose, to dismantle that. Yeah,
definitely. It's about being more mindful and about educating ourselves. And that whole idea of like peer support and people with lived experience, it's about listening. Do you know what I mean? Sit down and listen, and you learn an awful lot from a 10-minute conversation. Yeah.
No, it's fascinating. How can people listening help?
I think a little bit of kindness goes an awful long way. I think, kindness and educating ourselves really, I think are kind of the biggest ways that someone can help. If it's not monetary, you know, people can definitely help by being kind and educating themselves on issues that people face. If it's homelessness, if it's addiction, if it's an intersection of the two, just make yourself more aware, I think, really, of the issues going on.
And just coming back to me again on that kind of piece of the intersection of the two, of homelessness and addiction, like that's two extreme challenges to be coping with at the same time.
Yeah.
You know, like I suppose, like, you know, when those two interact, like what are some of the biggest challenges that people face?
A lot of it is stigma. A lot of it is compounded trauma. There's so many barriers and there's so much red tape and forms to fill out. And I mean, it drives me crazy. And, you know, and I've done them a million times with people. So I can't imagine somebody who's in addiction and in homelessness and trying to figure out the system. I think the biggest barriers is the accessibility of it and the, like, how long it takes to get some stuff processed. And I understand that everything takes time. But I think that's a really big barrier because, you know, people need help yesterday, you know, and it's so the longer that it takes for, you know, us to cross all these barriers and blocks that are put in people's ways, the more difficult it is at the end of the day to get that help you need.
Yeah, no, 100%. Okay, my last question for you. What is home for you?
Home is love and comfort, I think, and it's a safe space. That would be it, yeah.
Okay, Ellie, thank you so much for joining us today on the Streets of Dublin Simon podcast. You're very welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening. To find out how you can help, visit www.dubsimon.ie.
Dublin Simon. Homeless, not less.